I greet you in Jesus' name. My topic today is entitled A Cantankerous Person, and my text is taken from John 1, verses 1 to 14. A cantankerous person is ill-tempered, quarrelsome, and disagreeable. Do you have one or two in your church? There was one in Apostle John's time. His name was Diotrephes, a name I find difficult to pronounce. Notice a few thoughts about him according to John. First, John spoke about the attitude of Diotrephes, verse 9. An anonymous quotation, something that is hard to keep under your hat is a big head. Diotrephes seemed to have been this kind of person. From John's writing, Diotrephes was a man who was obviously full of himself. Seeing ourselves as the center of the universe always leads to misery because we weren't made to be the focus of our own attention. Neither were we designed to be the center of everyone else's attention. When we insist on that, guess what? We make everyone around us miserable because Diotrephes was unhappy. He was intent on making everyone around him unhappy too. There's only one person who is meant to be the constant focus of our attention. Read Isaiah 26, verse 3. Secondly, John spoke about the activities of Diotrephes, verse 10a. Wise men know more than they tell, while foolish men tell more than they know. Anonymous. Diotrephes was foolish. He is an example of the pseudo-intellectual who, according to Dwight D. Eisenhower, is someone who takes more words than necessary to tell more than he knows. Diotrephes liked to pass himself off as one who knew what was going on in the church, but he really didn't have a clue. But because he thought so much of himself, he was determined not to know the facts, keep him from being heard. After all, he was sure everyone wanted to hear his opinion. Fewer people are interested in what we think than we think. Anonymous. Thirdly, John spoke about the approach of Diotrephes. Diotrephes' approach to work in the church was to battle until he got his way. Diotrephes was the kind of person who always found something wrong with the leadership in the church and could never get along with the leadership of the church, nor with anyone who supported them. Consequently, he was always stirring things up. He was a fellow who could be well described by the comment that H.B. London made concerning Cain. Cain had a problem with God, but he took it out on his brother. Fourthly, John shared his assessment of Diotrephes, verse 11. John gave good advice on how to stop a lot of conflict within the church. John's advice is to avoid people like Diotrephes and not imitate their example. Too often, Diotrephes among us are rewarded when we give them more attention than they deserve. Instead, Paul echoed John's advice and told us to disciple Diotrephes among us through avoiding them. Romans 16:17. In closing, conflict is part of life, even church life. A healthy church is not one where no conflict exists. Fact is that a church that is growing and being used of God will face conflict because things will be changing because of growth and God's moving. So conflict is always going to be part of the church life, even in the best case scenario. The question is, Not will we face conflict, but how will we handle conflict?